there is no way that they're going to be able to reach an agreement unless Ukraine gives up something. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it moral, makes it reality.
The first track is to get Zelensky in the real world. Putin will just keep blowing kids up because Putin likes to do that. He enjoys it. Can he make a deal under those circumstances? It's possible, but he's got to bring pain to Putin.
All of you know that I gave President Trump an enormous amount of credit for what happened in the Middle East. And when I say enormous amount of credit, I don't just mean the kind of like reluctant credit that some Democrats are giving. Well, yeah, he deserves some credit. It was 100% Donald Trump. Donald Trump hadn't been in office, that deal wouldn't have happened. Period. And some people saying now, well, deal appears to be falling apart. They got the hostages back. All right. That was the single most important thing. And it happened. And I don't know that it's falling apart. It's having some serious bumps, as anyone would have expected. We knew that there was a round two that had to be resolved, but they got the hostages back. So don't tell me, oh, well, now it's all falling apart. And that may be true, but it doesn't change the fact that they got the hostages back. And so the reason I point that out to start the show is because I'm trying to figure out if Trump is going to be able to get similar results when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. There is a new report out today that Trump went bananas on Zelensky behind closed doors on Friday. The Financial Times reporting Trump was cursing all the time and echoing Vladimir Putin's talking points, even suggesting that Zelensky hand over big regions to Russia. And Reuters verifying that reporting. Politico also to some degree, although an EU diplomat telling Politico that the meeting was, quote, not as bleak as reported, but admits, quote, with a single phone call, Putin appears to have changed President Trump's mind on Ukraine once again. And, this is what people talk about the president. Whoever's had the last opportunity to talk to him is the one who has the upper hand. But I've said it on this show that I think that there is a much better chance of resolving the conflict with Trump in office than there would have been with Biden. But I'm not sure that Trump has a plan at this point. Meaning what I don't really know is, is this a strategy, right? Get really tough on each one of them behind closed doors or in public. By the way, he got really tough on Putin for a while. Oh, we're going to send them tomahawks. And then now he says, we're not going to send them tomahawks. Saying Ukraine could win the war, and then yelling at Zelensky behind closed doors. By the way, if this is all part of a grand strategy, great. Maybe it'll work. I just don't know that it is, because this is the latest of what the president is saying. This is yesterday, number 7 on Fox News.
Did you get any sense from Putin that he would be willing or open to the idea of ending this war without taking significant property from Ukraine?
Well, he's going to take something. I mean, they fought, and he has a lot of property. I mean, he's won certain property. If you say that, he's won certain property.
I don't know what that means. He's fought and won. But look, I've said this before, that there is no way that they're going to be able to reach an agreement unless Ukraine gives up something. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it moral. Makes it reality. The question is exactly what. And one of the reasons that Bill O'Reilly is the perfect guest to have on today is because in his new book, Confronting Evil, Assessing the Worst of the Worst, Putin is one of the people in there. And this is Bill's 20th New York Times #1 bestseller. He's, of course, the host of the No Spin News. Bill O'Reilly joins us now. Bill, thank you for taking the time. What do you make of it?
Well, I put Putin on the cover of Confronting Evil because he's a present-day threat to everybody. So you might remember on 9/11, I was with President Trump at Yankee Stadium. Did you see the pictures of that, Abrams?
I forgot that. Now that you pointed out, I remember it.
Okay,
I didn't remember,
one of the reasons I was there, and I got the call very late on September 10th, book came out September 9th, to meet the president in the Steinbrenner's box at Yankee Stadium. He wanted to talk about a few things. That happens, 3-4 times a year. And so I knew it was important. It wasn't just a baseball game or an honorary thing on 9/11 for the victims' families. And so we did talk about Putin. And I said, listen, Mr. President, this is a different guy than when you were president the first time. You're dealing with a whole different guy now. He's a psychopath now. And that's what always happens to evil people. They get worse. There's no rehab for evil. And once an evil person gets power, it goes on, it gets worse and worse and worse. So I gave him the book. And I said, I know you're busy, and but just read the Putin chapter because it's vital that you know where he is in the world right now. And then 24 hours later, I get a text from him and said, wow. And we back everything up in my books, which is why we are the most popular nonfiction book writers in the world. So it's not like a debate. This is Putin, this is what he does, this is why he does it. So the question is, can you deal with Putin? That's what you were asking in your monologue. And yet the answer is you can deal with him, but you have to be ultra careful. And so Trump has two tracks. All right. The first track is to get Zelensky in the real world. So Zelensky has one choice. You can continue the war and see your people slaughtered forever. Russia's not going to have enough to break through to Kyiv and take the country over, but Putin will just keep blowing kids up because Putin likes to do that. He enjoys it. That's why he's in Confronting Evil. Or you can cede some territory, Trump just called it property, that Putin's soldiers are standing in right now, because Putin's not going to be humiliated in front of his own people and withdraw those soldiers. Now, can he make a deal under those circumstances? It's possible, but he's got to bring pain to Putin. And the pain that he'll bring is China. He'll link in the China deal, trade deal, which is the most important thing on earth right now, to China backing away from Putin. And if the Chinese agree to that, and they should, when I was in Beijing in May, that was one of the big topics that I talked to the Politburo about. You got to get out of the Putin business. And OPEC will sell you all the oil you want, and so will Trump. You don't need to be supporting Putin killing women and children. That's not a good place for Beijing to be. I told them flat out. Now, what they do is what they do. But there is a chance that if Trump can break through with China and China disengages from Russia, that deal will happen.
But but it doesn't seem like, again, and who knows if this is a longer chess game, right? I mean, it does seem like our relationship with China has gotten worse, not better.
Well, I mean, it's a day-to-day thing. So what people have to understand watching this program is that these guys all bluster. Word of the day, right. Bluster. They just bluster.
You wouldn't know anything about that.
Well, I made a nice living blustering. And they've attained power blustering. Yeah. There's never been a bigger blusterer than Donald Trump, two-term president. Yeah. So bluster can work, but it can't work for justice. Bluster and justice, you can't. So when it comes down to it, Trump's going to offer Xi a deal, and he'll offer Putin a deal. And I think it's possible that both may, accede to Trump's vision.
But it sounds to me like even you view that as still unlikely.
No, I give it a 50-50 for Putin and a 70-30 for Xi. China needs America. They can't survive without our buying their stuff. It's an export economy. They have to feed 1.5 billion, and here's a shocker. The Chinese people don't have a 401k. They don't have the gold card, Abrams. They got to eat, and they got to eat based upon what they earn every week. Americans are whining about, I don't have any money, but there's ways to refinance your mortgage here. Not in China. You got 1.5 billion people. You got to feed them. The only way you feed them is do business with the USA.
Well, I think it's a good thing you sent him your book, Confronting Evil, Assessing the
I
Worst of the
handed
Worst.
it to him.
And I'm glad that it sounds like he read the Putin chapter, because I think that is critical that he is reminded of that, even as a negotiation, right? I mean, understanding the guy is critical for an effective negotiation. We're talking to Bill O'Reilly, of course, host of No Spin News. And one of the things about Bill O'Reilly, you may agree, you may disagree, but you're not going to get talking points from Bill O'Reilly, which is one of the reasons that it's always an interesting interview. All right, let's talk about the government shutdown. Every single poll that has come out indicates that more Americans blame Trump and the Republicans, depending how much the Republicans in Congress get, how much Trump gets, versus Democrats. Meaning, if you lump together Trump and congressional Republicans, every single poll is blaming them together more. How does that impact what happens now, if at all?
Doesn't. This is all a show of force by the Democratic Party, which had to make a line in the sand because Trump was getting too powerful. He was getting too successful. So the Democrats had to find a way to blunt that power and success. So they seized upon, we'll shut the government down, and we believe that the media, which favors us, will spin it that we're innocent and Trump's guilty. And that's what's happened. So if
but again, Bill, you're one of the people who said that the impact of the mainstream media has so significantly decreased over time, right? The idea that, the media is the ones that are sort of giving this to the Democrats. They can't do that anymore. You're the one who keeps telling us that.
They can do it, but they can't do it by themselves. They need social media. So social media drives all that, not the New York Times or the LA Times or ABC News. They can't muster anything. But this collective thought, they call it groupthink, finds its way into social media. And then the people more and more and more are consuming information from that. And so that's what they're getting, because it's like a tsunami of it's Trump's.
What about the right wing? Come on, there's far more at this point. There are far more right wing media influencers than left wing when it comes to social media, in terms of social media success, digital media, YouTube and beyond, Facebook. The right wing creators are having much more success than the left.
Not on a mass level. If you look at the sites, because they list them, that get the most views, most of them are establishment sites, the New York Times, the Washington Post, that kind of thing.
Right, but I was talking social media. I shifted.
But they're getting the views on social media because they all have now their apparatus where you can go. So you go to CNN, you go to this, you go to Fox News is probably the most successful on the right. But Fox News doesn't even do that stuff anymore. Look, let me just spell it out for you. Number one, nobody's going to remember this government shutdown once the government gets back and running, and I think that'll happen in the next, 10 days. The Democrats set a trap for the Republicans. They made it impossible for the Republicans to agree to extending health benefits for 7 million undocumented people, which is what the Democrats are demanding.
Well, you mean with regard
7 million.
Wait, you mean with regard to emergency room care?
No, asylum seekers.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole bunch of categories that the Democrats, Schumer came in and said, we're not opening the government until you, Trump, give health care to all of these subgroups of undocumented
who had been getting health care, right? I mean, these people.
Well, it depends. It depends. They want an extension of it. They want more money. All right, the Democrats. So if you read the Congressional Budget Office numbers, it's like $700 billion more spending.
Come on. No, here's the problem with those.
It's a Congressional Budget Office.
No, it's not. It's not the Congressional Budget Office as it relates to people who are undocumented. For example, when you're talking about adding to emergency Medicaid care, right, which is one of the things people focus on a lot, because people who are here in the country illegally, they go to an emergency room in a hospital, they will be treated. That is the most direct form. But when you look at what percentage of emergency Medicaid is being used by people here illegally, it's less than 1%. So when you throw out $700 billion, go ahead, read it to me. Tell me exactly what the $700 billion relates to.
I'm going to read it to you, and you're going to weep. I'm reading it to you, and Abrams is going to weep on his own program. All right, here it is. It's one of my lead stories on the No Spin News tonight. So, the Congressional Budget Office, and you can look it up, as Jimmy Breslin once said, all right? The extension of tax credits to provide Obamacare subsidies to undocumented aliens will cost the United States $662 billion over 10 years, according to the CBO. Now, look, I don't do the analysis. They do it. I'm just telling you what the fact of the matter is. So that's what Trump